It's all yours.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, staff.
Good
My name is
morning.
Jansen. For the record, my name is Jansen Evil. I'm the vice chair of the Maryland Commission MCCR, and I'm kicking it off in place of Chair Stephanie. I just want to do a quick roll call. Again, my name is Jansen Evelyn. Commissioners,
Commissioner Eileen Levitt.
how are you?
Awesome.
Commissioner Noah Matheny.
How are you?
Commissioner Angela Scott.
Morning again, ma'am. Is that it? I thought you said Chief Code.
Commissioner Jeff Rosen.
Okay, perfect. Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Good morning.
And
Good morning, everybody. Cleveland Horton, Executive Director.
how are you doing, Cleveland?
How you doing, Jansen?
Chilling on a Tuesday.
Glendora Hughes, General Counsel.
The esteemed.
Good morning, everyone.
Oh, go ahead, Gina.
Just said good morning, everyone. It's Gina.
Hey,
Good morning,
Jansen.
Gina. Don't be shy. You guys act like we don't know each other. Staff, introduce yourselves.
Good morning, I was making sure all the commissioners went. Good morning, everyone. I'm Yolanda Saunier. I'm the Deputy Director.
And
Madam
good morning,
Saunier.
Spencer Dove, Special Assistant to the Executive Director.
And good morning, everyone. Alicia Bell, Civil Rights Supervisor.
That may be it. I'm not seeing any. Normally, this is the time period we would open it for any public comment, but being that it's 10:04 on a Tuesday and seeing no one from the public present, I would imagine that there's no one. I'll give space for that if there is anyone that wants to comment from the public. Hearing none.
We don't have anyone from the public on the call.
All right, excellent. Well, no, not excellent. We want to change that.
It's excellent that you didn't miss it.
Yes, excellent. I'm
We
following
know.
the agenda that Spencer laid out so beautifully. I see that there's a chairperson's report. As she's not here, I'm not going to freestyle and waste anyone's time, so I'll just transition and pivot straight to staff reports. Over to you, Executive Director.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you, Commissioner Evelyn. Good morning, everybody. My report will be somewhat brief. I really just want to give a shout out to our newly appointed Deputy Director. I know we kind of introduced her officially last month, but I really just want to acknowledge the hard work that she's put in since she became the deputy here at the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights. So I do want to acknowledge, Yolanda Saunier for the amount of work and hours that she has put in since being appointed as the deputy. It's always a good opportunity when you bring in a new staff, you get a new set of eyes to really take a look at processes to ensure that we are being as efficient as we can be. She has brought with her a high level of accountability that I think will be a true asset to our agency. So I just wanted to start off my report by just saying thank you to Yolanda for choosing our agency and really just being the constant professional and hard worker that she is. I think we've spent some very late nights and weekends over the last few weeks just trying to make sure that we're doing things in order. So I just want to just give her a shout out and just say thank you. And we appreciate the hard work that you've done thus far. And we look forward to the continued commitment and dedication from you that this entire agency will benefit from.
Cleveland, just really
Yes.
quick, thanks for saying that and sharing that with the commissioners. I've heard a lot about Yolanda Saunier. I know her reputation precedes her, and I know that I've heard she's a superstar, so I know she's going to continue to shine. And I heard that she's from like Inglewood. Is that accurate, Miss Saunier? So she's Inglewood's finest.
Where you from, Yolanda? Tell her where you from, Yolanda. Come on now.
What set you up?
He knows where I'm from and he's trying to be funny, but yes, I am proud of my Inglewood, California, born and raised. Yes, I am. You can take the woman out of Inglewood, but Inglewood is always there in spirit and heart.
Hold up.
That's right. Cleveland, finish your report.
I also want to, I know that, formerly we had the Maryland Equity and Inclusion Leadership Program. We have transitioned away from that. We have transitioned away from the University of Baltimore and partnering with them with that program. Reason being, when we took a look at the budget for the program was bringing in about $100,000. The Maryland Commission on Civil Rights was only getting about $15,000 of that. The other $85,000 was going to the University of Baltimore. And our Education and Outreach Department was doing the lion's share of the work. We attempted to have a conversation with the University of Baltimore about kind of reallocating some of the funds because I just wasn't comfortable with the allocation of the funding. And as a result of that conversation, they were not amenable to doing so. So we have moved away from that partnership. We have created the Maryland Leadership and Advocacy Program, which will be the MLAP program, which will be our own version of that program. That will give us the flexibility to take this program around to multiple campuses and not just be tied to one particular college or university. We will be starting this with some of our HBCUs here in the state, and then kind of spreading that out with other colleges and universities. But we do think with the current platform that we'll have, that this program will be much more flexible to us, and again, not tie us to one particular college or university, and allow us to spread this out and then create a more diverse cohorts amongst these different colleges and universities as we move throughout the state. So we wanted to kind of update you all. The tentative plan for our first cohort under this new MLAP program will be tentatively sometime February of 2026. Candace and her team right now are working on creating and finalizing the curriculum for that program, and we will kind of update you all as we continue to move forward. We are going to have some open house virtual sessions where we will talk about the program, get some interest, kind of garner interest for the program, also to hear suggestions from past alumni in reference to things that we could do as we continue to try to improve the program moving forward. Those sessions are slated for April the 4th and April the 16th. As of right now, there'll be more information that'll come out in reference to those virtual kind of open house sessions for us to talk about the program, solicit feedback and things of that nature. Spencer and Candace will be sending that information out shortly. So definitely be on the lookout for that information. It's April the 4th, which is a Friday. April the 16th is a Wednesday. Both of those open house virtual sessions will be at 1 p.m. So if any of you are available to attend, please feel free to attend any of those sessions. We are also in the process of go ahead. I'm sorry, Commissioner Evelyn.
Yeah, I was curious. So is this something that it's a new funding proposal, or you will be able to absorb the costs with our current operating expenses?
Yeah, the program is always paid for itself, right? And that's still the intent because it's not a free program. So it will be a cost to attend the program, and through those funds, the program will pay for itself.
Okay, and when you're saying that we held at HBCUs initially, will these be happening contemporaneously, or will it be one program then going to another university?
Yeah, it'll be different cohorts. So the first cohort may be, for instance, at Morgan State University, right? The next cohort might be at Coppin State University. The third cohort might be at University of Maryland, right? So we'll spread out that way. So they won't be happening simultaneoously, but we'll do different cohorts at different colleges and universities at different times.
And it's the same length as the original program, or is it a bit more truncated?
That's what they were kind of creating and really defining what that will look like right now. We think it will probably still be about the same, but I can't, again, commit to that right now because Candace is still kind of creating that program. But it will be very similar in length to what the previous program was.
I mean, I just know speaking for myself, this sounds like a really great idea. And it's a way to, one, not just bring more exposure to MCCR, but also to expand the scope and the impact of that leadership program. So yeah, great idea.
We are also in the process of kind of reinstituting our Civil Rights Coalition. We had this probably back in 2014, 2015 timeframe.
Can you give us some background on what the Civil Rights Coalition is?
Yep. So when we initially started the Civil Rights Coalition, it really was an opportunity for us to bring together human and civil rights agencies throughout the entire state, right? To talk about some of the challenges and issues pertaining to different communities, right? Whether it was LGBTQ, whether it was race, whether it was religion, for us to really talk about as a group, how do we address these issues? Part of the problem that we had during our kind of first iteration of the Civil Rights Coalition was who was going to lead the coalition, right? And who was going to make sure that from a leadership standpoint, we continued to have the coalition continued to thrive on its own, absent having to have direct leadership from the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights. So it kind of fizzled itself out in short nature. So right now, because of the times that we find ourselves in, we know that right now, more than any of our recent times, that collaboration is at the utmost importance right now. And how do we collaborate? How do we show up in solidarity around issues, right? Whether it's a LGBTQ issue, right? And you may be part of an organization that focuses on religion issues, but how do you still show support in some way to those issues impacting the LGBTQ community, right? Or the deaf and hard of hearing community, right? Or, Black individuals, Black and brown individuals. So we want to make sure that we're creating a coalition of individuals who are willing to show up and support all issues, irregardless of what their main focus or main primary issue is within their organization. We also want to make sure through this new reiteration that we're not just meeting to meet to say, hey, we all get together monthly or quarterly and we talk and then we kind of all go back to our silos. We want to make sure that through this coalition that we're developing a strategic plan, a plan of action, and there will be accountability and follow-up through this coalition, so folks understand that we're not just coming together to talk, we're coming together to do something. So we want to make sure as we can continue to move forward and think about this Civil Rights Coalition that we keep that top of mind. The Civil Rights Coalition will also be a point of conversation during those open house virtual sessions that we talked about on April the 4th and April the 16th, because we are going to be soliciting feedback for individuals to talk about what are some of the things they would want to see in the Civil Rights Coalition, so that as we continue to kind of craft this and draft this new iteration, that we can make sure that we include those things as we move forward. So those are probably two of the top programs and services that we're working on at the moment. So I know Candace and her team are kind of embedded in creating the curriculum for the MLAB program. And at the same time, I know me and Spencer are kind of working on drafting. We already have bylaws from before, but we're taking a look at those as an entire leadership team, taking things out, adding things in, and then we'll be soliciting input from other organizations in reference to what they would want to see in this Civil Rights Coalition, so that we can make sure there's value for everybody that's going to be a part of this Civil Rights Coalition moving forward.
I'm curious, like this is not just going to be like local government agencies,
No,
nonprofit. So that's how it's going to be different from some of the other coalitions of human rights agencies that you guys are all a part of already.
correct. It's going to be across the board, right? Governmental agencies, local nonprofit, advocacy organizations, the whole gamut around human and civil rights. So we just want to make sure that we have a diverse group of individuals who are committed to really being a resource and support for all the issues and not just their particular issue, right? We recognize that now when we talk about how do we address these issues that are happening now, we know that we are more powerful if we address these issues collectively, right? And together. And how do we create a coalition that is going to allow us to do that and use a collective voice to, again, speak out on issues, talk about different things, develop plans to address certain issues. So that's what we're trying to do through the Civil Rights Coalition.
Now, that's a great idea. I guess because so many things happen on a national level and so quickly, and it's like something different every day. What's your time frame for standing this up?
We like to have it up by the beginning of the fiscal year, which is July 1.
Okay.
So that's our plan. Yeah. And with that, I will take, if anyone has any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer any additional questions that you all may have. I'm glad to see you're feeling well. You're feeling better, Gina. I think last time you were a little under the weather, so.
I'd have to say these are both great ideas. I don't know if any commissioners have any other comments or questions. Hearing none.
Cool. With that, I will pass it off to our Deputy Director.
Thank you, and good morning again, everyone. And thank you, Cleveland, for the kind words. I appreciate being able to be in leadership here at the commission and to work with all of you commissioners. I am continuing to learn all the processes and procedures that the commission operates underneath. I am examining, each of our units and kind of going through everything to make sure that I learned before, we, before giving suggestions of change. Some things we doing really well, a lot of things we're doing really well, and then other things we could change to be more efficient. And so, I am thankful and I'm looking forward to working with each of you. You did receive a copy or the report of our case processing data. I'm not going to go through it, but if you have any questions about it, please let me know. But we continue to investigate closed cases, and we continue to have, people that are coming to the commission to have their matters investigated. So I will leave my report at that unless you have any questions.
Yolanda, I don't have any questions about the report. Thank you for that. My only question is, I know that, like, how will MCCR potentially be impacted by, whether it's money that comes from HUD and the other federal agencies for especially like housing accommodation and whatnot? Is that something that you guys are already anticipating or planning for?
So I'll start the answer to that, and if Cleveland has anything else he wants to offer. What I will say is right now, we haven't been impacted. Of course, you know that the commission with both the EEOC and HUD contracts, we receive, I don't know if it's about 25% to 30% is of our budget comes from those federal contracts. We have not received any word that anything is changing from those contracts at this point. But I think that we sit and wait like a number of other people that have contracts with federal entities. And so Cleveland, I don't know if there's anything additional that you want to offer.
No, I think that's really it. I think that one of the things that we are currently doing is anticipating a budget cut, right? We know that initially with this administration, there was a pressing need to freeze all federal funding, right? That has since been somewhat lifted, right? Through preliminary litigation. What we do anticipate happening is that although they could not freeze the funds for those current contracts, we are anticipating that as we enter into these new fiscal years with new contracts, that there's a high potential that whether it's the amount per case or the total amount of our contracts will be decreased. To what level, we really don't know yet, right? And I think for us, that's kind of like the $1 million question. How much will it be, right? So I think for us, it's not a question of if it's going to be decreased. It's really about how much is it going to be decreased. So we are working, excuse me, with the administration to identify, and Nicolette has sent over to them, because there's a spreadsheet going around for all the agencies to input the amount of federal dollars that we currently are getting from our federal partners, so that the administration knows in the event of a overall federal freeze, what's going to be the impact to the agencies. So we are working with the administration to do that. We also know that in the event that there's a significant decrease, that the state will be trying to figure out how they can provide supplemental budget increases to those agencies are impacted by any sort of federal federal fund freeze or federal fund cut. So we will continue to communicate with them. Right now, we are meeting on a monthly basis. I am meeting with all the agencies to talk about kind of where we are. And all of us really are in the same position right now. We're waiting to see what will be the overall impact as we enter into these new contracts, these new fiscal years, in reference to what the federal funding will be like. So as many of you all, we are, excuse me, we are also eagerly waiting to see what happens by Friday with this federal, the impending federal shutdown, to see what that will look like, what is going to be, if there is a federal government shutdown, what the length of time will be for that. Now, historically, we haven't been impacted financially through a federal government shutdown. Normally, any cases that we submit, we are reimbursed for those cases once the federal government opens back up. So we haven't lost any federal funds historically through a federal government shutdown. So, but we are just kind of waiting to see what this shutdown will look like, the impact of it, the duration of it, if there is one. So we are keeping our eyes on that as well.
Cleveland, the only thing that I will add to, even though not financial, if there is a federal shutdown, our partners at EEOC and HUD won't be available for us to consult with.
Yeah.
Because if they are, furloughed and they can't communicate with us about any cases or anything impacting the contract or the cases that we're investigating. So that's the only other impact that we may have.
Thank you for that update.
Thank you. Who's next for their report, unless there were any other questions for me?
If no other questions, we'll pass it off to Glendora.
Good morning, everyone. I think we had someone join the meeting after we did the roll call. Need to identify for the record. I think Ms. Strong. Can you identify yourself for the record? We're recording. We have to keep attendance. Okay, so
yes.
Okay, thank you.
It's Storm.
Storm. Okay, it's spelled backwards.
It's ST.
I apologize.
Strom. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. For my report, most of my report will have to be done in executive session to discuss several cases. And you have my report in terms of my activities for the month of February. We've been meeting with delegates during session to discuss some of these bills that we had some question marks about. For instance, we were talking about the bill that dealt with them creating a commission on non-discrimination. So we made sure we spoke with the delegate to get a sense of what that bill was about and register our concern. And we submitted testimony to a letter of concern to explain why we thought that it was something that would be redundant and that that this commission already has the authority under the statute to do studies and surveys, which is what this bill was going to do with this newly created commission. And we didn't want to have any conflict or confusion. So we pointed that out, that perhaps what they're trying to achieve could be done by enhancing the areas that you all can hold studies and surveys on, because right now and presently it's just limited to race, and it should be expanded to other protected classes such as disability, such as LGBTQ, such as religion, etc. So that was one of the recommendations that we suggested to the delegate. We'll see if it does reach the point of being addressed. As far as legislation, so far, none of the bills have really made it to vote. I think crossover is when, Spencer.
March 17th. So I think this is the week the holding pattern might finally break.
Mhm. And then we'll probably see some movement in some of the legislation, and we'll be able to report some of the potential votes on some of the bills that we've discussed on Thursday morning and the positions that we took. And we'll hopefully the next meeting we'll be able, well, we'll be doing the roundup in the next meeting of the session to let you know what passed, what didn't, and what areas, hopefully there's not any areas of concern that we have to look at. And that pretty much is, you have my report, and I will go in detail with some of our cases when we go into executive session.
Glendora, the only question I have is the one meeting you had with the delegate regarding the commission they're trying to do, did they seem to be receptive of your concerns?
In the meeting, we wanted to find out, well, where did this come from? And why weren't we there? And so the delegate did apologize for not including us in the meeting. Apparently there are a group of advocacy groups, private bar who wants to really, I think this is sort of like a step in trying to provide a bypass of the commission to go directly into court without having to exhaust administrative remedy, without having to file with the agency first before going into court. So they wanted to, I think this is sort of like a subterfuge that the real reason for wanting this non-discrimination mission, because what was said was, well, we want to find out what all the types of discrimination that are out there that you may not be addressing. And I said, well, we constantly, through bills being submitted by legislators, by town hall meetings that we've been having, by outreach that we're having, we hear about different types of discrimination that are not covered by the agency, and that we have put forth legislation and had bill sponsors having legislators put forth legislation. So, the thought that, you can go do all the studies you want, but that takes time. And also from experience, any amendment to our statute is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you're not going to get a quick fix, because whenever we've had any additional protected classes or any procedural, it has been several years in getting it, as we just went through the marathon. We're just getting a little change in our public accommodation statute to at least provide some form of monetary relief to the victims of discrimination. And I gave an example that when we even tried to just change our name to what we actually do, from the Human Relations Commission to the Civil Rights Commission, it took 3 years to get the name changed, because they thought some of the opponents argued that this was a power grab. So it does, we did have a fruitful conversation. I think there's still, initially they had us in the statute as being the agency to staff that commission, and the Attorney General's office to staff the commission. And I think we both objected to having that responsibility without any resources. And so they said that they were submit an amendment to amend us out and make it the responsibility of the Speaker and the President of the Senate to determine what exactly was what exactly the responsibility would be to provide staffing to this commission. So it remains to be seen what exactly is going to be the outcome. And but we submitted our letter. We've got it to the governor's office approved. So we'll monitor the votes by the committee on that piece of legislation.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Glendora? Seeing that, I did want to highlight two other things that I mistakenly overlooked. One, I know that we have our Thursday call at 8:30 to talk about obviously impending legislation, but we also need to talk about on Thursday, we have potentially 8 commission initiated complaints. One is involving a service animal. The other 7 are involving housing discrimination through testing through the Equal Rights Center. So we will be requesting review of those. We'll get the information out later today to you all to review prior to the meeting on Thursday. So again, we do need, obviously, per our statute, we do need 3 commissioners to sign off on each commission initiated complaint in order for us to be able to move forward. So we'll get the information out for those potential 8 commission initiated complaints today for you all to review. And we're hopeful that at least 3 of you all that will be on the call on Thursday will agree and be willing to sign off on the commission initiated complaints that we'll have for you later on today. And there was there was one other thing, but it has slipped my mind again. So I apologize.
Well, I can take over and fill in for Nicolette. So I won't cover her report, but she did have an ask for the commissioners for your monthly per diems that you get for attending this meeting. She wanted to ask if she can have your permission to sign on your behalf, just to speed that up a little bit. This permission would apply only to those per diems, not to anything else that would require your signature. So are the commissioners okay with her signing on your behalf for the per diems?
I am.
Yes, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Unless you all would like for your per diem just to come to me, I can arrange that too if you all like. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, Cleveland, there is no way that it's like gonna make a difference in anyone's life.
So I believe Gina, Noah, Eileen, and Jansen all said yes. Angela and Jeff, are you okay with that?
Yes.
All right, so is that it for staff reports, or ready to transition to the legislative session updates? Before we do, though, I note that at the beginning of this meeting, after the roll call, I opened up space for public comment. At the time, there was no one from the public, no members of the public that was present. I'm not sure if Strom or Storm is a member of the public and wants to, at this time, make public comments, or if she's just here to observe.
And just one moment for the interpreter to pin Strom.
Yes.
I apologize. Go ahead. Yes, hello.
How are we doing?
It's good to see you. And Jeff is saying, hey, hello. Yes, no, and Strom saying, yes, I am deaf. So this is my first meeting that I'm joining. I wanted to comment, but I prefer to observe. Just because there's no mention, the OMD government office for deaf and hard of hearing. And again, I just feel better for me just to observe. Maybe next meeting I would comment, but I just wanted to say that. So yeah.
Okay, well, welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It looked like
I
Commissioner
think
Rowland
Jeff
has.
wants to speak.
Yeah, and so I just want to say thank you, Strom, for coming to the meeting. I didn't expect to see you, but I greatly appreciate you coming. So please do, if you know, if you're free, if to show up to the next meeting, make comments, or if you want to, you know, send a letter in or an email, you can do that as well. And what's a good email address for you, Strom, or if you want to communicate, you know, with the Maryland Commission for Civil Rights, you can do that as well.
So if anybody wants to contact us here at the Maryland Commission on Civil Rights, the best way is by email, mccr@maryland.gov. I'll also put that in the chat. That's a helpful email address because multiple people receive the email. I'm one of those recipients. If it's complaint related, it'll get to our intake unit. If it's something that we want to follow up on, then I make sure that it gets where it needs to go, or I handle that directly. But alternatively, if you go to our website, mccr.maryland.gov, under Contact Us, all of our staff phone numbers and emails are linked on that webpage for the public to use. But certainly, if you ever need anything, you can always feel free to reach out to me directly, and I would be more than happy to assist you. And if I can't assist you, I'll make sure that you get where you need to go.
And this is Strom speaking. Yeah, if you don't mind putting in the chat that that information, that'd be great. I did meet with Marilyn Horton, or with Horton and another person previously. I don't remember that meeting, but again, like I said, this is my first meeting that I joined recently. So I'm not sure if it's appropriate for me to address any concerns. Maybe you guys can walk me through that process.
No, the
And
public.
Jeff is saying, yeah, Spencer, do you mind putting the email address in the chat? That'd be great. And
Yep,
Strong, thank you very much.
Yeah, and this is Spencer. I just went ahead. I also sent a DM to Strom on the ability to multi-pin, so I'm learning something new about Zoom in the middle of it. But I put the email on our website, and then I'll also put my direct contact information in there, and you can feel free to ask me anything or see how we might be able to connect.
So
Yeah, and Jeff is saying, yeah, it's, you know, I think that's a definitely better approach. But yeah, Strom, do you have any other questions that you want to share? Yeah, so the email, so I can list concerns, and then how does that work from there? What's the next steps forward? And Jeff is saying, yeah, I can't speak on that. Maybe the staff can. But the staff would review the email, and then if there are any concerns from there, you know, we as members and the commissioners would review that.
Yeah, and I
Review
think,
your concerns.
yeah, and this is Spencer.
Okay.
And I think Jeff is right. We evaluate every email and every phone call, every letter, every fax on a case-by-case basis. And so if it's a complaint matter, we'll generally route it to our intake unit. If it's sometimes it's an education and outreach, a training request, we'll get that over to our E&O unit. If it's something that needs to be moved up the hill over to the deputy or the executive director, I'll make sure that it's routed there. But every voicemail, every email, we review them and make sure that they get to the appropriate person for follow-up. And it really does depend on what's included in the email to figure out who's best equipped to assist you with that request.
And Jefferson, yeah, and I would just like to add on to that. You know, again, if possible, you know, the staff will look at it, and you know, whatever issues is there, we will move it to the right person. And so we definitely do review that
Mhm.
and that process. So thank you very much,
Yes.
Strom. Do you have any other questions?
Yes. I did file some time back. It was botched, and the reason why, and the reason why I think that happened was because this meeting wasn't advertised, so we had no idea how to reach out or anything like that. So so there was no advertisement for the deaf and hard of hearing, so whenever issues do show up, they didn't have it kind of went around in a circle, and it was very frustrating for me, especially for the meeting I was in. But really, we have real serious issues and obstacles. And so I was trying to get the process for the complaint, to file the complaint. And so I had a lawyer that I had worked with at one time said that it was the right. I did request through MD. The request was submitted, and they said that it wasn't received because it had to go through the courts. And so it was sent back, and I filed with the Department of Justice. And that has been ongoing since then. So this is the
Right,
reason
yeah.
why this is my first time in
This
this
is
meeting.
definitely, you know, I definitely appreciate that you take your time to do that, you know, and I look forward to that staff review of your complaints, and you know it will be shared with the committee members. So I can't promise that I will respond to that, but I will make sure that whoever is responsible for that, we don't want to ignore what you're saying. Your voice does matter. And so I am working with MCCCR, and it's a great team, and it's definitely worth to review that, to have that communication. So thank you for your time.
I appreciate that. And
I just
lastly,
wanted to
Oh, yeah.
also
oh, sorry, my cat is in the way.
I just wanted to also clarify too. I wanted to add on to what Commissioner Rosen was saying. Obviously, every voice does matter to us. But when we think about this meeting here from a commission meeting standpoint, this meeting, we don't talk about individual complaints during this meeting because the information for any individual complaint is confidential. These meetings are recorded for the public, so we don't get into any discussions around individual complaints or issues pertaining to individuals specifically. What we do request is that if you have an individual matter or request, that you do reach out to the contact information that Spencer provided, and articulate what your issues or concerns are individually so that we can speak to you individually and confidentially to address what your issues and concerns are. But this meeting that we have once a month is not for us to discuss because we can't, because again, the issues are confidential, and we would not do that in a public forum. So we just wanted to make sure, Ms. Storm, that you understand that, and you're more than welcome to come to any of our meetings and provide general comments or concerns that are impacting a particular community. But we just are not able to talk in any level of detail in regards to individual complaints because that information is confidential and we like to keep it that way. But we are more than happy to speak to you individually and discuss any individual concerns or issues that you may have. So I just wanted to make sure, as a matter of process, that you do understand that.
And one of the problems also is that this commission, the commissioners are set as an appeal board. So if there is a matter that goes forward into a hearing and there's a determination and you want to appeal it, the commissioners would be the board that would hear the appeal. Therefore, it's improper for them to hear anything about a case without the other party being present as well. And that is one of the, in the statute, and you want to make sure that there isn't any what they call ex parte communication with the commissioners before a case has been investigated and heard at a hearing or trial.
And then just for the general body, both for Strom and the commissioners, the executive director has a standard of returning emails and phone calls usually within 2 to 3 business days. So normally what I'll do, working with him to make sure that things get routed appropriately, is if we can't like really help you within that 48-hour period, at very least we will write to acknowledge receipt and then follow up as soon thereafter. But the expectation on the agency is clear, that we do return every contact within a timely manner. And of course, we do our absolute best to adhere to those standards, just in the interest of good customer service and serving our constituency.
And this is Jeff speaking. So yeah, I do recommend that we move forward with business. Thank you, Strom, for your time. It's, was very important. Hopefully we can see how we can get meetings like this open to the public. And, we want to respect the process for the appeals and for complaints. And so just for like another member on the committee was saying, we want to respect your privacy and we want to respect your time. And so again, thank you very much for coming to this meeting. We value, all the different voices in the community. So, I greatly appreciate it. And so I'm going to recommend that we move forward with the meeting. Thank you very much.
With that said, do we want to transition to old new business? I see on the agenda, there's the 2025 legislative session updates. And then after that, we can go into closed session.
I think I pretty much gave you the 2025 update in my report. So
I was going to say that, but I just want to be clear.
And if Cleveland and Yolanda stay on for the executive session, since it's dealing with cases.
Right. So do we need to, Spencer, just do we need to have a motion to move into closed session? And if so, can we have that motion?
Yep.
I
Is
move
there a motion?
go into closed session.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're gonna move into closed session to seeing none opposed, we're gonna move into closed session to discuss a few cases with our general counsel, Glendora Hughes.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you.